Namaskar everybody. We are into the last day of the webinar series on ethics and applied ethics. Respected convener, coordinator and host of the webinar series, Professor Pramas Kumar Das, the other coordinators, Dr. Kailash Chandra Maharana and Dr. Patit Pavan Das, and both are the speakers today. The event in charge recording, Sri Devashis Sadangi, and dear participants. We are having a very good webinar series on ethics and applied ethics. As I said, in the first session, we are having Dr. Patit Pavan Das, Assistant Professor in Revansa University, Cuttack. He will be speaking on environmental ethics. Now, before I invite him to deliver his lecture, let me give a brief introduction of Dr. Das. Though he is known to all of you, but it is within the format of this webinar series to introduce the speaker. If I look into the profile of Dr. Patit Pavan Das, I see that he is a gold medalist, first class first in both BA and MA. He has done his undergraduation from Sambalpur University and the master's degree from Utkal University. He was awarded the MPhil degree by the prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. Later, after joining the profession, the teaching profession, he worked for his doctoral degree and he was awarded the doctoral degree by Revansa University, Cuttack. If I look into his teaching experience, I see that he started as a teaching assistant in Jawaharlal Nehru University in 2007. Then he served as an assistant professor under the government of Tripura from 2008 to 2010. In 2010, he was selected as assistant professor in Revansa University, and from that time he is serving there as assistant professor. I find in Dr. Das that he has a great interest in writing, and he has authored 5 books and he has written different chapters in six different books. He has also written 30 articles that are published in different journals. He has attended around 50 seminars of state and national importance. He delivered lectures in 12 invited talks. He organized a number of workshops, seminars and conferences in Revansa University. He is the associate editor of Journal of AOPA and Revansa Journal of Philosophy. He has guided 1 scholar for the doctoral degree and he has guided 5 MPhil scholars, and number of scholars in the master's level are also working under him. He is a recipient of number of awards. The list goes on. If I look into his profile, he has 17 pages. If I go on to the profile, Dr. Das will not get time to deliver his lecture. So what I mean to say is, he is an academic writer. So number of writings we can find from him. He has written a number of articles and they are published in various journals. So he is also an active member in philosophy family. This is the third or the fourth lecture that is delivered in this platform. They were good lectures. Now, I also hope to have a very good lecture today. So, I now request Dr. Patit Pawan Das to speak on environmental ethics. Over to Dr. Patit Pawan Das for the lecture. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Om sir, for this nice introduction about me. Uh, in fact, I love this family. I'm privileged to be here and share my thought amongst all of you. Today, I'm assigned rather by our revered Pramod sir, environmental ethics, and I'm trying to do justice to this very complicated and very contemporary discussion in philosophy. Uh, Let me allow to share my slide so that I can show you what I'm going to discuss today. So is this slide visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Yeah. So the title on which I am going to deliberate today uh, is a little bit unconventional, and it reads like that: How dare you? I'll reveal why I did it, and you will also understand the rationale behind this title. But there is also a subtitle. This is this: Environmental Narratives and Activism. I know that you must be aware that during these last 2 decades, environmental activism has at the apex. In most of the universities, in university syllabus, in philosophy also, and in general courses, we are taught environmental science as well as environmental philosophy. Or popularly we said it environmental ethics. And that actually shows, or at least we assume, that our students are well injected with environmental ethics. But then, all of a sudden, some days back, one video, a small video that became viral. All of a sudden, one small kid became celebrity. She was shown in all the national and international press and media. The video which stared her was really viral, and I became curious. What did it happen? So before that, let me show you that video, and it takes at least 5 minutes, but I am sure that you must be knowing it.
Sir, it is not audible.
Is it audible now?
No, sir. It's not audible.
Okay.
Not audible.
No, no. Very low. Sound is very low.
Okay, I think because the volume is not that much clear, so we should not continue. But I can hope that you might have watched this video. This video has become so popular some days back, and if anyone has missed it, I would rather request that please search in YouTube and just watch this video. This is wonderful. Now this actually I inquired after this after watching this video. I asked bundle of questions to me. One is that why this video became so popular. What is there? Is it because a girl did this video? She spoke something. Okay, she is a girl, therefore this video became popular. Or she is a kid. Of course, she is a school kid, really. But then I asked to myself, or is it that she is a celebrity? She is not. She became celebrity after that, after this video perhaps. But before that, she was doing lots of, I'll reveal what is her name and what she does. Now, after this video, she became a celebrity all over the world. Even BBC News covered her story. Or then I asked to myself, why is this video so popular? Is it because the way she spoke? And it is assumed and it is spoken in international media that she spoke to the eyes of Trump, Donald Trump. Now, is it because that she, with all the dareness, all the courage, she spoke to the most powerful person in this world, Donald Trump, the president of America? She spoke directly to his eyes, and therefore this video became popular, or at least because people thought that there is a girl, a small girl, who is talking to Donald Trump directly with lots of courage. Is it because this video became popular? Or the content of her speech? What did actually she say or she deliver in his video? Is it because of that this video became popular? These are the questions actually stumbled upon me. Then let me tell you what was the message. I said other things are not that much important. We are more concerned about the content about which she was talking in that video. The first thing she said that we will be watching you. So this is the first line she uttered in that video. And she says, my message is that we will be watching you. Now I have marked this. You must be also, I'll request that please concentrate on these two words. We will be watching you. So there are again two questions. Who are we and who are you? So that is the actually crux of this lecture today. So we will be watching you. This is the first line she uttered in her video. Now she says that people are dying, people are suffering, and how dare you to talk about money and economic growth. So this is the second line she uttered in her video. And that gives me an impression. Is it that she assumes in her video that suffering and economic growth, they are antagonistic to each other? That means, is it that growth, economic growth particularly, development particularly, economic growth causes suffering? This is what she was assuming in her video. So that is the question I am also going to deal with. Now, can silence help? Now she assumed that world leaders throughout the world leaders are silent about the environmental disasters. And therefore, she said in her video that business as usual and some technical solutions, patchworks like reducing carbon dioxide level and this and that, it will not work. She said this is not enough. We have to take more radical policies. We have to take more radical solutions. The existing solutions which environmental scientists, environmental people, environmental leaders are taking, they are not enough to curb the environmental problems. This is what she uttered in her video also. And then she uttered another sentence, that is, you are failing us. The first line you mark that we are watching you. Now she is saying you are failing us. This is very important line I could find out. She says this with broken hearts and lost promises. She says that you are not doing your duty. You are not keeping your promises. You are failing us. Now what you are doing? World leaders throughout the globe, what they are doing, they are cutting the emission rate up to 50%, but that is not sufficient. She says in her video, lots of hypocrisy involved in it also, that if you go through this climate change policies, now throughout the world, there is a climate change policy, right? Climate action. There are many organizations which are working for the protection of the environment. Now, world leaders, what they are doing, she says they are doing lots of hypocrisy. They are telling lies that they are protecting the environment. They are helping the environment to heal is a hypocrisy. She says this in her video. And then with anger, disappointment, she says enough is enough. She says this in her video. I wish that video could be audible so that you could enjoy that. But see, up to the last part of the video, she says enough is enough, right? And then she says the eyes of all future generation are upon you. Now then also you connect, you just reconnect. She said in the first line, we are watching you. Now she is saying that the eyes of all future generation are upon you. Means here the existing policymakers, our generation, the people who are living now, the people who are acting, who are living, walking on this earth. Now she is saying you are failing your duty. You are failing to protect the environment, and the future generation is watching you. And then she says, we will not forgive you. That means now she reveals who are we. We means the generation which is coming. her generation and the generation to come, they are saying that we are not going to forgive you for this mistake, for this inaction. And then she says, look, with a war mode, war zone like that, she says a fighting mode, says we are drawing the line. Now we don't trust you. We don't trust that you are doing enough for the protection of the environment. What then we are doing? We are drawing the line. You do whatever we detect. So the future generation, a small in the mouth of a small kid, is asking us to do enough for the environment. That is what we are drawing the line. She says, we are drawing the line. Be careful. Now she says, be careful whether you like or not. Change is coming. So these are the sentences she uttered in her video. And then I became surprised. What did she do in her video? Is it just an emotional outburst that she became so emotional about the people, future generation, the generation which is coming, and therefore she developed a kind of anger, and therefore she outbursted that anger in the form of that video? Or a lot of anguish is there? These young generation who are going to suffer lot of environmental hazards and feel that they are helpless, feel that they are taking the risk because of the mistake their forefathers did. Forefathers did means our generation is doing lots of environmental mistakes for which they are actually doing, paying the task. Is it anguish? Or a kind of disappointment that the world leaders who are talking in high words and high terms, they are talking in power, they are talking in all the kind of economic subtleties, they are failing, they are deceiving the world, they are deceiving the people. Is it a kind of disappointment? Or is it a kind of compassion? That she loves the world so much, she loves her generation at least so much, she was so compassionate towards the generation that she is thinking that we have to protect the environment, else the future generation who are coming, the younger generation who are living this world, they are going to pay heavy task. Is she compassionate to that extent, therefore she talked in that language? Or she is making a warning that if you don't do that, then we have to pay a heavy toll. Is it a case of warning? Or this is a case of indifference? I don't care what you are doing. I am dictating you that you do these things. Is it like that? Or what the video shows us, is it a kind of sufficient reason? Is it an example of prudence that if you don't do this, then our economic growth will be seriously hampered, our survival will be at the stake, our life and livelihood are going to be demolished completely if we are not going to protect the environment in a proper way? Is this a prudent decision that comes from the mouth of this small kid? Or this is just an information? Or this is altruism, that she was thinking about all of the people, all of the world? Or this is a kind of equity she was talking about? Yes, she was talking about equity. She was talking about that people who are living in a backward area, they have to also live with dignity. They have to also live with all what they require to live. So is it a kind of equity she was talking about? Or she was talking about justice? Yes, she was talking about environmental justice too. We are discussing all of them. And then we have to ask lots of questions now. As I said, who are we and who are you? She uttered the first line there in the video. She asked this: we are watching you. Now, who are we and who are you? She was mentioning. Now, I could guess that she is referring to existing generation as we and future generation as we and existing generation as you. She was saying the existing generation who are at the top level, who are leading the international forums, they are not doing what they are expected to do. So this is we and no you. Or policymakers and activists. She is an environmental activist. Now she is recognized as an environmental activist. Now she is saying the policymakers in international forums, in different countries, the policymakers are not giving much importance to environmental problems, which an activist like that girl is going to highlight. So this is this that policymakers and activists? And then comes environmental scientists and environmentalists. And we have to understand a little bit about environmentalist and environmental scientist. And you know that who is an environmental scientist. An environmental scientist tries to study the cause and effect relationship of the environment, how this environment functions, how other factors disturb the environmental balance, and how can we rear that, mend that. But environmentalists, they are activists. They love the environment. They want to protect it with care, with love. These are environmentalists. They are going to protect the environment. And therefore, they fight for it. They are passionate environmentalists. They are very passionate. Right? They fight for the cause. Environmental scientists might not. They are soft-spoken. They simply tell us how to deal with these environmental problems in a scientific way. Now, is this girl is saying that environmental scientists throughout the world are failing? Now, it is the time of environmentalists, the lovers of environment, to fight back with all the passion, with all the diligence. They have to fight, they have to protect it, take radical action. Or we and you are third world or first world. And you know that who are the first world? The developed world is first world. And the third world are the developing world or underdeveloped world. Now you might be aware that when these environmental problems are occurring, the environmental problems are not affecting one single country. It affects all over the world. It affects all the countries all over the world. Right? But then the question comes that who is going to act first? Who is going to protect the environment first? The first question is, this is the debate in environmental discussion, is that who is going to protect the environment first? Is it not the duty of the first world, the developed world? Because they destroyed the world more, destroyed the environment more. Is it not the duty of them first to protect it? Or there is also a question that development or equity. Now, should we continue the development program as usual? She said that you know that whenever we do any developmental work, like industries, like any other, like deforestation and urbanization, what happens is that we are going to destroy the environment. And when we are going to destroy the environment, the impact of that environmental degradation goes to some weaker section of the people. And there comes the question of equity, that some people are becoming so developed. And for that development, some weaker section people become weaker more and more. Because that environmental degradation actually affects the health and the life of the weaker section of the people. So is it not our moral responsibility to protect the weaker section of the people? Or should we continue our development program to develop the rich people, make them richer, and we should not take heed of these weaker people? This is a question of equity. And then comes the last question. Is it a question between life and ideology? Because you have an ideology that development is the order of the day. Without development, nothing exists. And for that, you are also undermining the life of some people out there. So these are the questions she asked through her video. Or this is a question, more general question, that is of course discussed in our environmental ethics classes. Is it the question between man versus nature? Now, is it that nature, in the mouth of that small kid, is asking us that we are watching you, the nature is watching us? And we are very clear. I assume this because we know that what is going to happen and what is happening now. Because of this environmental degradation, what we are finding unexpected climate. In summer, we find scorching heat. In winter, we find rain. In rain, we find scorching heat. Unexpected climatic condition, unpredictable weather. You cannot just predict. And how this is happening, we all witness it. I am not going to discuss much more on that. And of course, outbreak of unknown disease. This last point is more relevant today in this period, during this period. Because of this environmental degradation, are we going to suffer from different kinds of unknown disease? And then comes another question. She asks there, she says, does growth beget suffering? She says that people are suffering, people are dying, that how dare you to continue your business as usual? She says like that. And it is assumed that she is thinking that as if growth actually brings lots of suffering. But when we are taught in our classrooms, we are given an impression that economic development, scientific progress, and growth are raison d'etre for our existence. We say that any country, any society is scientifically progressed, economically developed, or more progressed society or country. And if we are not paving the road, we are not following that road, then we are going to be called as backward. And we don't want that backward word to us. Now, this lady is asking this question, that because of the name of your development, you are bringing lots of suffering to human civilization. Is it right? Or the assumption is that, is it really that growth brings suffering? Economic growth brings suffering. But it is not taught to us. It is taught that if you are rich, if you are developed, then you will experience happiness, not suffering. Now, we are given an impression that economic development actually ends suffering. But now this lady is asking us that no, economic development brings lots of suffering. And this is a dilemma I fought with. Now I actually searched and I found a very interesting thing, is that the growth, that is called the growth paradox. Now in economics, it is very popular. Let me introduce to you this also. The growth paradox. What is that? Am I audible and visible?
Yes, sir. Hello. Yes, sir. You are audible and visible too.
Okay. So what is the growth paradox? The growth paradox is, it's very simple. I'm not giving you very economic jargon so that you will be feeling bored. No. In a very simple language, I am using it. The economy grows, but so does income inequality. And it is very clear that whenever economy grows, inequality also grows. Some people become rich, some people become poor. So that distance also grows. Whenever there is economic growth, there is also growth of inequality. So this is what? As the national economy grew, so did the income gap. So these are the economic growth paradox. So more and more our country become rich. More and more, now the distance between the rich and poor. The more and more you grow, smaller you become. This is called the growth paradox. This is also proved in economics. But then we are not taught in that. I know that this economic growth or this economic, handling of everything comes from a background. So at this level, perhaps this video by that lady, that small kid, is so relevant that you are talking about economic growth only. But you look, your economic growth, hundreds of years of economic persistence will be devastated in one single year, like this pandemic corona has done to us, right? The economic status of all over the world are destroyed completely because of this corona, advent of corona. So this is what we are going to do. Now this lady is asking that you cannot just go as usual, go on doing business or development progress as usual, not thinking about all these side effects that development brings to us. And therefore, this is what I wanted to tell you. Now next comes, who is responsible for this? Now why we are not so serious? I said that up now for the last 2 decades, we are instructed. Every time in our classrooms, we are taught about environmental ethics, how to deal with environment, how to deal with that. Environmental science has become the part of our syllabus. People are studying. But do you find any change in their behavior towards the environment? Why doesn't it happen? Who is responsible for that? Why we are not so serious about the environment? What is the reason behind this thinking? And even I know that I have seen some people, you might have also marked that, let me say, is that some people, when suppose, let me ask you one thing. Suppose I am going on the road, I'm walking on the road, and you are walking also on the road, right? And because I am a little bit taller, what I did, I pulled your hair and went away. What would you do? Won't you cry? Won't you punish me? Won't you react? Will you be silent? No, you will not be silent. But you know that? Does it happen when it happens with trees? No. I know that there are many people, when they walk across the road, without any reason, what they do? They just pull a branch of a tree and it cracks. And we see it. We don't do it. We don't react. Because the tree itself doesn't react, might be. This is the question. Then what is the reason? What is the reason that we are thinking so indifferent towards the nature? What is the reason? The reason might be a whole philosophical idea. And I'll reveal what is that philosophical ideology, but it comes from different sources. And most of the philosophy students might be knowing that ideology. That ideology is called anthropocentrism. Now let me tell you what is that anthropocentrism. Anthropocentrism is that belief that we are very special. We are very special. Human beings are very special. And therefore, we can use anything available in this world for our use. And we are not moral guilty for that. Right? Because everything else in the nature is meant for me, for my use. If I do that, then what is the reason of being guilty? But then I ask this question, why did this type of attitude comes to us? This is because of the religion. Most of the religions of the world teach us that human beings are special. Now let me tell you at least one religion, Christianity. All other religions are also doing same kind of attitude. Now in Christianity, God says that I have created everything for you. I have created you in my image, and I have created everything for you. So you use whatever there. The result of that. The whole story is there. I don't have time to discuss in more, but Christianity echoes that kind of literature. Whether people believe in Christianity or don't believe in Christianity, I don't mind. But at least Christians, because they believe in that structure, that ideology, what they then think? They think that human beings are so special and they can use the nature. And when they use nature, there is no morally guilty in it. Therefore, they started using it. And this attitude, this anthropocentric attitude, doesn't only come from Christianity, it also comes from a philosophic tradition, a long philosophic tradition. And you might be knowing that Pythagoras says that man is the measure of everything. Greek philosopher Pythagoras says that man is the measure of everything. That means all values depend on man. Man will give every value to everything. And if this is true, now it is not coming from you or myself. It is coming from a very important philosopher, Pythagoras. So if Pythagoras believes that I am more valuable and I provide value to others, and therefore if I think that this particular tree is not valuable for me, then this is not valuable, I'll just destroy it. So this is Pythagoras. This anthropocentrism attitude comes to us like this. And then comes science. And I know that you must be aware of the whole development of science, how in the shadow of Christianity, science was developing, and science said that because knowledge is power, and if we have knowledge of knowing the secrets of nature, then we can mold it, reshape it. And if this is true, then what do we have to do? Because we are more powerful, we can use the nature, whatever we do it. And then there are other questions. This question comes. This is anthropocentrism. And other also question comes. Whose right, whose duty? We believe that the nature doesn't have any right. Right? We have only right. Look, if I kill someone, then what will happen? I'll be in jail because I have killed that person. Not because, I am imprisoned or I am punished, not because I have killed him, but because I have taken away his right to life. We believe that everyone has a right to life. And therefore, when I kill a person, a human being, what I do is I breach one's right to life. And therefore, I am morally guilty. But then, does nature has right? Can we imprison a person if he cuts down a tree? The tree doesn't have a right. But then the question is, how does this right be how does this right be defined? Now let's go to again our Greek tradition, Plato and Aristotle. They believe that right is one's due. Right is one's due. What does it mean? It means that your right is not your right by your birth. Your right is your right if you contribute something to the world or to the other. Plato and Aristotle. And on that basis, some people mistakenly thought that the nature doesn't have right because they don't contribute for our survival. But it is really, really wrong conception. If even right is one's due, then the trees have more rights than the human beings. Because you just imagine, if at all, today, suppose I will give a remote control. I will give a remote control. It has 3 buttons. A remote control has 3 buttons. When you press one button, all the animals of this world will be extinct suddenly. All the animals from this world. You just imagine what type of world it is. The world where animals are not there. Only man and natural environment. The world will continue. Right? And there is another button. When you press that button, what happens? All men from this world will vanish. Then what type of world it will be? The world will contain all the natural environment and animals. Will it not continue? It will continue. The world will continue without man. But then there is another button. The button, when you press, all of a sudden, from this world, all the trees, all the natural environment will go, vanish. All the rivers, mountains, trees. Forget about river, mountain, only trees will vanish. You just imagine. Can we continue another single day? We cannot. So that means that the idea that who is contributing has a right is mistakenly imposed on the nature. The nature is contributing more for this world than us. But still, we believe that we have only rights, they don't have rights. This is a surprising thing, surprising thought that came to us. But there is another idea of right also. Right is a God's gift. And that comes from, of course, religious section. Christianity says also that right is a God's gift. Because I have given you right. Because I have said that I have made you in my image. So I have made you special. And go replenish. I have made everything for you. What does it mean? It means that you have all the right on all these things. You use it, whatever you do. So this is Christianity concept of right. And on the basis of that, of course, when I kill a tree, I don't feel any moral guilty because I believe that this is my right. God has given me this right. God has made this tree for me. So if I kill it, then why should we be serious? And there is another theory also, that is right is claim. And it comes from a very contemporary philosopher, Michael Tooley. Of course, he talks in another area, that is in case of abortion, but I have used this also in case of environmental ethics. Says that right is a claim. You have a certain right if and only if, that IFF, logicians use it, IFF, if and only if you claim for it. And if you don't claim it, then you are not, no, you don't deserve that right. Okay? And on that principle, trees don't claim, no? When we kill it, when we cut its branches, they don't react. They cannot react. Or, as Rabindranath Tagore says beautifully, that the tree provides the handle of the axe on which the tree will be cut. Look, this is what. So the tree doesn't claim its right, therefore it doesn't have rights. Now these concepts are going to be challenged very seriously. And this girl is asking that, debating that right is not one's claim. Then what she is doing? Is there any way out? And then she says, change is coming whether you like it or not. What does it mean? Actually, it scared me. This line actually scared me. That change is coming whether you like it or not. And just after that, just like she is a prodigy, just like she is a messenger of the God, just after this climate action summit, where she delivered this lecture, this coronavirus, outbroke. Now, is this the change she was talking about in this video? That change is coming whether you like it or not. Yesterday, I was talking somewhere that the environment itself is making its troll. The environment knows that the people are not going to change by themselves voluntarily. So the environment has done its own mechanism, brought its own mechanism to change itself, to mend itself. Change is coming whether you like it or not. Is that girl a messenger of God? She knew it, that the environment is going to punish these people of their crime they are doing. Change is coming whether you like it or not. Now then, as a philosopher, as well as an existing generation who are doing it, I asked lots of questions. These are called hard questions. I asked, is she a racist? She always talking about her generation. What about ourselves? How can I wear this shirt if I cannot cut a tree? How can I use this gadget if I cannot cut a tree and establish an industry? How dare she talk about like this? Is she a racist? She is talking about their own generation only? Or even more generalized, she talks about man again. She says that Sudhar jao, no, be careful, otherwise you are going to be punished. So is it not again another kind of anthropocentrism? How selfish she is, how dare she is. This is what I asked another question. And then hard question comes, hard question 2. Is it the case that all environmental ethics have to be non-anthropocentric? We have to think about non-anthropocentric views. I teach my students in my class about non-anthropocentric ideas. These non-anthropocentric ideas come from different sources. One of them is reverence of life, comes from Schweitzer, Albert Schweitzer, a Nobel laureate, says that each form of life should be revered. Now, initially, we are so squeezed to ourselves, to our race, that we don't think beyond our life. But then Albert Schweitzer brings an idea that you, if at all, right, if at all you are not a racist, then you cannot just simply say that your life is important. You have to say that all lives are important. Then comes land ethics. I'm not going to discuss all of this in detail because you might be aware of that. Land ethics comes from Aldo Leopold. Leopold says that look how land is important, because every life form exists and sustains on the land. So if you are not thinking in terms of land, if you are not thinking about the moral consideration of the land, then no life form will be sustained. So your moral stance or moral attitude has to include land. That is called land ethics. And it comes from Aldo Leopold. Right? So we should not think about ourselves only. We should think about the land also. And then there is another important philosopher, Anne Ness. See, now he comes with another idea called deep ecology and shallow ecology. Let me deliberate a little on that, deep ecology and shallow ecology. What he says. Now, ecology is a scientific study that studies the balance between ecology, the interconnections between different elements in the ecosphere. And now scientists, more and more, environmental scientists, they discover that there is a very close connection between each element of this world, each element of this environment. There is a very subtle and delicate connection, interconnection. Now, if you disturb that connection, it is going to disturb the whole world. It is not going to disturb only that species. It is going to disturb the whole world. So that is what is called ecology. Ecology brings that new idea. And Anne Ness develops on that. He says that then what do we have to do? We have to believe that there is a balance in this nature. And in that balance, human species is only one single element. And we cannot just claim that we are the most powerful, most special species in this whole chain. So what do we have to do? We have to protect the ecology as itself. We have to protect the ecology for themselves. That is the idea of end in itself and means. We should not use the environment. We should respect the environment for itself. Now this is called deep ecology. And then comes, there is another which has become very famous, comes James Lovelock, who talks about Gaia hypothesis. It's also another echo of this deep ecology. It says that the environment has its own mechanism. The environment talks to itself. Each element of this environment talks to itself, and it has a very close-knit inter-community system. It mends itself, just like in our community. Suppose some people are Marwadi community, some people are Odia community, or that. What do? When one member of our community faces a problem, other community members actually help him out. Similarly, Gaia hypothesis by James Lovelock says that the environment has also a community. Each element of this environment is closely connected. When one particular area is disturbed by anything, any factor, all other things are coming to help of that element. Is it because of this coronavirus? You can also connect. And in that video, he said rightly that Wuhan was sacredly there, behind the mountain, beneath the nature. Now, when China enters to that and disturbs the whole balance, how environment does it look? How environment helps the community to protect. That is what is Gaia hypothesis. And all of them give us holicentrism. So we should talk about the nature, we should talk about their right, we should talk about their end in themselves, or no, there are many. But the question is, all these are taught to our students. All these are taught to our general population. But do they really change? And that actually disturbed me. And look, we have been talking the nature is important, the nature is important, the nature is important. Everyone knows that. Everyone understands that. Or is it only discussion? Do we really change? Now this person, this lady, brings us back to anthropocentrism. She says, forget about that, those high words that you think about nature, respect it for itself. You are not going to do it, I know that. But you do it for yourself only. The ecofeminist agenda, that is called. Nature has to be cared to liberate women. Look, this is another feminist agenda. We know that ecofeminist agenda. I am not going to discuss much on that. But ecofeminists are saying that, look, because the nature is disturbed, the most dreaded impact is faced by women. So if you really love your women, then you protect your nature. So these are very squeezed kind of ideologies, because we know that you are not going to talk, you are not going to believe on that holicentrism at all. And if I say like that also, you will say that you are doing pravachan. Now these people are saying, look, at least if you want to liberate your own species, the half of your species, that is women, then you have to protect the nature. If you don't protect the nature, you are going to lose half of your species, that is women. And your prudence will not allow it. Your reason will not allow it, because you cannot live without your women. So in order to sustain yourself at least, you just protect the nature. So is it a back of anthropocentrism? The video talks about that. The expansion of economic calculus. Now another idea is that the aesthetic value has to be considered for the utilitarian calculus. Now whenever we discuss the environment, and whenever we, even in my class, whenever I talk about that nature should be protected, this and that, most of my students react to it. Then how can, sir, we become developed? What these trees will give me? If I cut it down, then I will sell it in the market. It will give me money. Right? So that is what is called economic calculus. What the nature is giving us in economic terms. Now, if you calculate only on the basis of economic calculation, then also what you have missed out, you have missed one very important factor. What is that? That is the aesthetic value of the nature. And this cannot be calculated. And I'll request, please read Practical Ethics by Peter Singer for detailed discussion on this aesthetic value. If we calculate aesthetic value of the nature, then definitely our reason would say that we should protect the nature, not destroy that nature. Now, the rights of future generation, actually she echoes that. She declares more and more about rights of future generation. Now, whenever we talk about nature, whenever we talk about our economic consideration, that we are going to establish an industry, right? What do? Do we really calculate what is its side effect on the future generation to come? Or simply we talk about our generation? Our profit and loss calculation should not simply count this generation. It also should count the future generation. And if you include that, then your reason, your economic reason, of course, economic calculation will not allow to destroy nature. Forget about that holistic ideas. Forget about that high words. You simply think and calculate on the basis of anthropocentrism itself. And you will surprisingly to know that your anthropocentric calculation will also not allow to destroy nature. And then the hard question number 3. I think this is the last question I am going to ask. Is philosophy failing? This, I could have avoided this, but I asked this question because I am a little bit disturbed. Disturbed because, look, all these things, what this lady or the small girl asked in the video are taught to us. Philosophers taught to us. Philosophers teach to the society that you don't do this. But then what is the impact? And why this small video of 3 minutes and 4 minutes had an impact, a huge impact? Why the teachings of philosophy up to last 40 years are not giving that impact? What this lady has done, this small lady has done, then is the process of philosophizing is only concentrated on confined to discussion, and therefore it is failing. And this is the question of theory versus practice. Are we more concerned about theories and we are not concerned more about practices? And therefore, even though we know all of these things, we don't do it. And that is the idea of narration versus activism. We know things, that is narration. We know that this is good, but we don't do it. Is it the question that philosophy is failing? And reason versus emotion. And this is another idea also comes to me. Is it that we are operating in the field of only reason, rational deliberation, asking questions and debating endlessly, asking questions only to ask questions? Or are we asking questions to change the world because we are emotionally connected, because we are emotionally passionate about that? Are we asking questions only to know the truth and debate, and to show that speaker doesn't know anything? Or are we asking questions to know the truth and work upon it? This is what our philosopher becoming less emotional? This is a question I ask to myself also. You can ask to yourselves. And then the last is rational calculation versus emotional motivation. Same thing, that we are more concerned about the rational calculations, what is good, what is bad, what is the meaning of good, what is the meaning of bad, this, that, everything we know that. Rational deliberations. But when it comes for practice, a kind of emotional motivation is required, we don't have. Then is it that philosophy failing us? Philosophy is failing to inculcate that motivation to do what you know. Is it that? This is the last question I think has to ask. And you can reach me at this. And thank you. Thank you very much. Hello.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Patita Pavan Das, for your very nice lecture. Actually, it is a bit shift from the traditional pattern of presenting environmental ethics. You have worked hard on this issue, and definitely you have touched many controversial issues and also brought to the fore many controversies, because you are touching something new. Whenever somebody touches something new, controversies are there to enter automatically. So there are more controversies here, and a lot has to be discussed. Okay, it happens when somebody touches something new, controversies have to enter. You are not touching the tradition, you are trying to bring something new into the issue. So
Yeah.
many questions are waiting for you in the chat box, and I request Debasis, who is the now I don't know exactly who is the moderator for the day. Maybe Debasis or Nivedita, either of them, let the moderator.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll do it.
Okay. So I request Debasis Sadangi to moderate the session.
Yes, thank you, sir. And first, I would like to congratulate Patita Pavan Das, sir. As always, his lecture is very nice and enlightening. So thank you very much, sir. And now the questions are in the chat box. I'll read them. Pramod sir wants to know who will exist and who will not. Intelligent, corrupt human beings, innocent animals and birds, infectious living virus like corona, all have rights to live because they have life.
Sorry, Debasis, I could not listen to it because of some sound problem. Would you please repeat it?
Yes, sir. Is it audible now?
This is audible now. Yes.
Yeah. So Pramod sir, like a skeptic, wants to know who will exist and who will not. Intelligent and corrupt human beings, innocent animals and birds, infectious living viruses like corona, all have rights to live because they have life.
Yeah, this is very difficult question. I wish I could have been a prodigy like that, but I don't know what is going to happen. I'm an agnostic in that sense. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes. So I'm an agnostic in that sense, that who is going to leave, who is not going to leave, and this secret I don't know really. ଆମର ଓଡ଼ିଆରେ ଗୋଟେ କଥା ଅଛି ଅରକ୍ଷିତକୁ ଦୈବ ସାହା. Right, I think this is the right word, right? ଅରକ୍ଷିତକୁ ଦୈବ ସାହା କହନ୍ତି ନା?
Yes, sir.
ଓଡ଼ିଆରେ କଥା ଅଛି ଗୋଟେ ଏମିତି. Yeah, I don't know whether God exists or not, but who is going to leave this world for another 10 years or for another 20 years or 100 years, 200 years? That we don't know really. We are also in the part of that class struggle for existence. We are also in that part. Birds are also doing that. Every species is also doing that. That we are struggling hard to live on this world. We don't really know that whether we will be successful in this struggle for existence or not. But it is, one thing is very clear, and that again, because we are intelligent, we could understand that. And if we are simply intelligent, we cannot understand. If we are wise, then we can understand. Simply one thing is very clear, that we can live only if other species are going to live. We cannot live beyond them. That is very clear. That is crystal clear, that if they will live, we will live. And we are not going to live except them, beyond them. So that is very clear. So our choice is now, should we think only for our existence, which is impossible? That is now clear. Or should we think about all others' existence? It's case of existence, remember. Are we going to exist or not? How are we going to exist? That is another issue. But whether we are going to exist or not, that is the core issue. And the answer is very crystal clear, that we are going to exist only if other beings going to exist. And now our choice is only to survive. No, even for our existence, we have to ensure that other beings exist, the nature exists. And a fool only can understand. And if he's an intelligent, then intelligent fool can say that I am going to exist without anyone else. That is not possible. I think this is the answer. This is really a difficult question.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Then the next question is from Satwik Nath. He wants to know, Jeff Bezos spent trillions of dollars to reduce carbon gases emission and plastic use. The point is that environment protection and rapid economic growth is the need of hour for India. So suggest a path for achieving sustainable economic development while protecting environment.
Yeah, thank you. So this is as usual, man. This is the question thrown upon to any environmental activist, any environmental philosopher, that how can you ensure that the same economic growth as well as that can sustain an environmental protection? This will not go. This is proved now. The same economic growth, speed, and as well as the protection of the environment is not going to happen. That is crystal clear. Whatever you talk about sustainable development, this, that, it is not going to happen. It is not going to happen. You cannot eat the cake and have it at the same time. Cannot do it. You have to sacrifice one. Then what you are going to sacrifice, that is your rational choice. I think the most rational choice is to sacrifice your own greed. That is the only solution, nothing else. You cannot simply say that I will continue my economic development, the progress, as well as I can protect the environment. It is not possible. And yes, many of the scientists, when these environmental activists actually fought against this economic development process, many of the scientists, they started to believe that, look, if environment has been destroyed by the science, then science can only mend it. And all of a sudden we found that our ACs and refrigerators became powerless concept. No, what is that? Star Bala AC, right? All these are hypocrisies that lady actually asking. Lady was saying that all these are hypocrisies. This is not telling the truth. Your economic progress, scientific progress will not continue as usual. At the same time, environment will be protected. Right? Now, this is a question of life and death. This is not the question of a beautiful life and death. So when choice comes like that, we will always go for life only. Now that life I am talking about, you know that what type of that life is, might be because you are going to reduce it. Some people will die, some people will leave, we will not have more consumptions, right? That is the only way out, nothing else. And sustainable development idea is a hypocritical idea. I would say like that.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. And the next question is from Ratnakar Gajendra, sir. He wants to know what is the work of the scientist in the environment. At the same time, what is the role of philosopher? Please clarify.
Yeah, I think I discussed a little bit on that. Therefore, this is the question. Yeah, so anyone who tries to find out the cause and effect, cause of this environmental degradation in this sense, cause of this environmental degradation, and how this can be mended. What is the effect of that? So now people are saying that in the next year, more pandemics are coming. In the next year, weather is going to happen in a very deadly manner. More floods are coming. More earthquakes are coming. On which basis they are predicting this? They predict this on the basis of causal connections. So anyone who does that, geographers, geologists, anyone who does that, they are scientists. Now what they do? Still, they bank upon one idea, is that if we know the secret of this nature, we can change it. That is the idea of any science, any scientist. And in this case also that is true, that if we can know why did it happen, then we can change it. If we know that carbon dioxide is making holes in the ozone layer, then what do we have to do? That we will create refrigerators which will not emit carbon dioxide. That is their solutions. And I said, this solution is not going to help us. And here actually philosophers, the role of philosopher is very important, because philosophers argue or show us that look, unless and until you don't abandon, forsake that idea that you can change the world in the scientific manner, the world is not going to change. The environment is not going to be protected, because the cause doesn't lie in the physical world. The cause lies here. And unless and until you change this, whatever scientific ideologies you bring, scientific technologies you bring, that will not help. So you have to change the mind of people. One day I listened to a very interesting lecture of a manager from Tata Group. He said, we are making machines. In Tata Group, heavy industries, we are making machines. And he said, after 40 years of his career, he said, it is easier to make machines, but it is very difficult to make a culture. And making of a culture is philosopher's responsibility. What type of culture you are going to make. And unfortunately, our forefathers, philosophers, they made a culture that contributed to this devastation. Now philosophers have to find out that culture. Why? What are the axioms that created that culture of consumption, that created that culture of use and misuse of the nature, and has to change it. That is the role of philosophers, that we have to change the mind of people. And changing the mind of people is much more difficult than changing a machine. And that is the role of philosophers, I think. Thank you.
Yeah, Thank you, sir. Very nice response. The next question is from Manaswini Patnaik. She has a very interesting question. There is an oil named squalene present in the body of shark, which is useful in developing coronavirus vaccine. An American company want to develop corona vaccine by using that oil. That company is ready to kill 5 lakh shark. Is it ethical to kill shark? Again, having live coronavirus is right to live. So what should we do? Should we develop vaccine by killing shark or to kill coronavirus?
The same question thrown upon to me. Yeah, I usually give a very mischievous kind of example to to my students in my class. Let me disclose that also here, right? When this is the paradox of development, okay? What they did is, look, the outbreak of corona is due to killing an animal. It is quite clear now from that video BBC has released. That is very clear, right? And when that corona has been outbroken, now you are going to kill another animal to mend it, isn't it? This is a very, enigmatic condition. Another idea is also there. We are not listening to it because we are so concerned about ourselves. Another group of scientists, they are also telling us that your body is powerful. Of course, some people are going to be killed, die. Your body is powerful. Your body is enough to fight any virus, right? Try to develop that body, right? That we are not listening to because our mind is blurred with that, modern Manson. I said, no, modern Manson. We are not going to discuss on that. We are not going to discuss that word. Why at least you ate that bat so that coronavirus which used to live in the animal world came to you? Why don't you think that in future we are not going to kill any animals for our food? We're not thinking in that line. You're not thinking in that line, right? And you are projecting as if we are doing everything for our existence. We are killing all the animals for our existence. And that man who killed that bat for his food might have argued in that manner also. Had I not killed that bat, had I not eaten that bat, how could have I lived? So that is the question he might have asked, no? Okay. So it is high time to think radically that no, to undo one mistake, you are going to commit another huge mistake. Look, you killed a bat. Therefore, the whole human species is in danger. Now, to undo that mistake, you are going to kill another species and you don't know what is going to happen. You don't know that, really. Don't know. Did they know that if I kill bat and eat it, corona will come to us? They didn't know it. Now today, the scientists who are claiming that if you can kill a shark and bring that oil and will create a medicine, okay, I agree that corona might be curved. But who knows that another more serious kind of outbreak comes from that shark to human body in the form of that medicine. So what will happen? You will cure one disease by eating that medicine, and you will be infected another disease by eating that medicine only. Isn't it? So we have to think seriously. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Then the next question is from Rinki Mohali. She wants to know if the economic growth or development is the cause of coronavirus, then what about the previous virus like Spanish flu, cholera attack, etc.?
Black Death, etc.
Black Death. Yes.
Okay, I should not say, because there was not study. There is not enough study. This is now studied properly, that because of this economic inclusion, coronavirus might have outbroken, right? They have given an instance of Ebola and HIV, right? And it has been properly studied that because of our economic activity, right, viruses like HIV, viruses like Ebola, and this coronavirus have been outbroken. So that has been studied, and it has not been studied whether Spanish flu and other flus like they were also done because of that. So I should not comment on that. But the point is that, look what these people are saying. These people are saying that these viruses exist. They exist. They exist in the, let me tell you one thing. In our campus, there is a person who lives in a quarter, and when he entered to that quarter, there was huge jungles like trees and other things around in that premise. So when he entered to that campus, what he did look, lots of trees and this and that are there. How can I live here? What he did, he cut down all the trees, made it very neat and clean. Okay. Now it is found that many of the species like snakes, rats, and this and that, they're entering to their house, and he is doing everything to reduce that problem. Every day, he finds out some problem to do this. Now one day someone suggested him, because you made clear all the trees and all the things there in your quarter campus where these snakes and other species were living, they were not coming to the quarter. Now he actually asked the another inhabitant before who was living there in that same quarter, what is the reason why all the snakes, rats, and all wild animals, they are coming to my house, my quarter? What was happening when you were living in that quarter? He said, no, they were not coming to me, my house. How strange. He said, oh look, what you did, you cut all the trees, made them all the cemented everything. Now where the snakes will live, where the rats will live, they will come to your house. Now there is a choice. Now they say, okay, if snakes will live there, then they will kill me. No, they will not kill you. They will not kill you. Unless and until you are going to harm them, they're not going to kill you. They were not coming to my house. Why? Because I gave them their house. I didn't disturb their house. And the moment you disturb their house, you interfere their house, they enter to your house. This is the simple formula, right? Simple formula. The same thing happens about the viruses also. The viruses used to live, still are living in many jungles. We don't know, because we are not entering to that jungle. The moment when we enter to jungle because of some economic activities, we are exposed to that. So they will come to us. So your choice is very clear, that you live and give them room to live. Viruses have to live in this world. Other animals have to live in this world. Give them their life to live, their habitat to live. You don't interfere into their habitat. Then might be these things will come down. I think. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Ratnakar Gajendra sir. He wants to know, when philosopher is talking of justice, he is discussing about distributive justice. The legal justice is the work of lawyers. Philosophy of science is a part of philosophy and not the job of the scientist. Please clarify.
Can you repeat again? I could not understand.
Yeah. It's, uh, when philosopher is talking of justice, he is discussing about distributive justice. The legal justice is the work of lawyers. Philosophy of science is a part of philosophy and not the job of the scientist.
Okay, no, I agree with the second assumption, but the first assumption I don't agree. Philosophers simply do not are not engaged in discussing about distributive justice, or lawyers only don't talk about legal justice, right? Philosophers talk about the foundation on which this legal justice stands, right? That also philosophers' job is. And unless and until philosophers talk about the foundation of that that legal justice, then lawyers cannot find out the way. So that is, I don't agree with that. Philosophers also do talk about legal justice, the foundation of that legal justice. Only they don't talk about distributive justice. That I don't agree. But I do agree that yes, philosophers are not going to talk about science. Of course, we are not. But we are going to talk about how the scientists are doing science, right? What these scientists are doing science. Let me tell you one thing, very interesting thing. When this first climatic summit happened, right? And world leaders were given a projection by scientists. Scientists did lots of study. They said that because of your economic activity, industrial activity, environment is going to be degraded and we are going to be affected, this, that scientists, they said that like that. Okay. And then the leaders, they decided what you have to do then. We have to curtail lots of industrial activities. Okay. Let me tell you what they did. Some of the industrialists, they funded some of the scientists of the world, intelligent, brilliant scientists of the world, instructed them to find out another study, mind it, another study that will show that industrial activity has no role in environmental degradation. Very strange, no? Some scientists are saying that because of industrial activity, environment is degrading. Some scientists, equally brilliant, equally intelligent, equally using all the scientific models, are proving that environment is not degrading because of industrial activity. It is degrading because of its natural course. So that is science. Science does. Here actually the role of philosopher. Philosophers do not do science, true. But philosophers show the scientists how to do science. That is our role. Don't do this fake science. Do real science. That is the job of a philosopher. I think that is sufficient.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Then the next question is from Raja Misra. He wants to know, men used to be in harmony with nature once, but with evolution, man has become greedy to be the dominant one rather than being part of a whole. Evolution has brought the worst in men. What's your opinion on this?
No, evolution has not brought. Evolution has not done that, definitely. Because if we take seriously or study this seriously, the chain of this evolution, then only a mistaken person can understand this evolution has urged to do like that. No, the evolution proves very loud and clear, declares very loud and clear that you are the part of this nature, you are the product of this nature. And of course, thanks to a very important philosopher from India who intervenes in that evolution by Darwin, says and gives a very attractive alternative, says that this evolution is not complete yet. He is Sri Aurobindo, says that the evolution is not complete yet. You don't believe that man is the last product of evolution. What Darwin said, perhaps, Darwin didn't say that. Darwin didn't say that evolution has stopped with the evolution of man. Even this is very clear. If you look at ourselves, right, and our mental progress, now the younger generation, I simply ask this question because no, younger generation, they are so mentally advanced that we could never think of in our age. Technologically, they are so advanced. Now the small generation, small kids, they are technologically so advanced that we could never think of in our time. So evolution is moving again. We are also moving in that line. Now the choice is that you are going according to that evolution process, or you are moving that back. What human beings are doing, that they are thinking that we should not allow another evolution audacity to become superpower, that I will not allow, I will live as I am, right? This is because of the this audacity. Human beings thought that I have to break this chain. I will not allow myself to become the product of the nature. I will create my destiny. So that is the human being. This is, I think, the most dangerous audacious declaration human beings have done. And this is because of, again, science. This is because of that modernity. I discussed on that. I will not talk about that. So we are the part of the evolution, and the evolution is still growing up. And today, can you imagine that cows are eating peppers and they are living? As we are moving, other animals are also moving, because change is the order of the day. Now, if we believe that we will alter this change and we will escape that change, then this is our foolishness. It is better, as Sri Aurobindo says, that listen to this voice, that in which direction the evolution is moving, and follow that path. Don't move in the reverse direction. Go in that path in which the evolution is moving. This is, I think, Sri Aurobindo's concept, that you should listen to the voice of the evolution. We should not undermine it, ignore it, and move back. We should not do that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Then the next question is from K.M. Narayan Rao, sir. He wants to know, Aldo Leopold, in his land ethics, has tried to tell the human beings that land is not a commodity to be bought and sold. Land is rather a community to which both biotic and abiotic components belong. Man, as a biotic component, has to realize that we belong to the land and not that land belongs to us. If he realizes this, many issues get resolved. How do you see this?
Yeah, I think I agree on this. This is a compliment to my lecture. I was also thinking in that line. It's true. So I should not have. Thank you, Om sir, for this comment. This is not a question, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Then Priti Manjari Khuntia wants to know, we should not experiment on animals because of animal rights, but how we use or destroy the nature in the name of economic development. In this case, is there not any violation of environmental rights? Please clarify my doubt.
Yeah. This I'm also discussing again and again. The idea is, look, most of the time we believe that our development process and the protection of nature, they're antagonistic. They're not. right? And I'll suggest again that the same thing which you might have heard, that Gandhi pronounced once upon a time, said that the nature is sufficient for our need, but it is not sufficient for our greed. Now, if we think on this line only, this is the only one formula that actually can solve all the environmental problems at once. But it is very difficult, because to curtail our greed is really very difficult, right? So I think that is the answer. I would not like to discuss more on that, but this is the only formula which can solve all the problems. But the question is how to curtail your greed. That is really very important and very difficult. Indian philosophers, traditional Indian philosophers, they have worked ceaselessly, brilliantly, diligently on this principle, how to curb our greed. But somehow, unfortunately, we are disconnected from that tradition. And I think Devashish is the better person who can enlighten us how to do that, bring back those methods to curb human greed all over the world. So Indian seers, Indian rishis, they were brilliantly, they had done brilliantly this. They have given us all the blueprint. But the question is, somehow we are disconnected from that tradition, from that culture. It might be because of our political domination. It might be because of many factors. I'm not going to discuss on that. But unless and until we are not thinking in that line, this is not going to stop. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Then the last question is from Rasmi Prabha Mohanty. She wants to know, who is the dominant species in the human-centered environmental worldview?
Yeah, very interesting question. I think who is Rasmi Prabha Mohanty? I must know her. Very interesting. Who is the dominant species? Still today, we were thinking that we are the most dominant species. Still today, we are also thinking that. But this coronavirus has shown us the real picture, shown us a mirror. That look, a tiny particle which is not seen in the eyes can kill you. Right? Now we can understand who is the dominant species. But up to now, we were thinking that we are the dominant species. And this is because of the Darwin again. Somewhere he mentioned that the most dominant species is going to live, sustain, exist in this world in the struggle of existence, and human beings continued to live. And therefore we thought, that we are dominant because we have knowledge. And Bacon said knowledge is power. And we have a lot of power. We have lots of power. We can change the world, whatever. Right? But now the corona actually has shown us our real picture. It has shown us a mirror. That look, a tiny virus which cannot be seen to our eyes can kill you. With all your technological brilliance, all your scientific progress, you are just nothing. Right? The most developed countries, right? The most developed countries are facing the worst problem because of this coronavirus. And that shows how fragile we are, how weak we are. And that actually crumbles our greed. Our audacity, ahankar, audacity, crumbled, smashed that, pride, that we are the dominant species. And who is dominant then? I think no one is dominant in this world. No one. And that is what his Gaia hypothesis says, that this world is an interconnected community. And in a community, no one is more powerful, no one is less powerful. Right? Everyone is cooperating with each other. And as long as we are going to cooperate with this community, we are going to live at least. We are going to live at least. And if we don't cooperate, then we are going to cease. That is, I think that is the answer.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your nice response to all the questions. So now it's over to K.M. Narayan Rao, sir. Hello, Rao, sir.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Padit Bhavan Das, not only for the lecture, but the way you tried to answer the questions. Very beautifully, you tried to answer all these questions. I was really happy to see the pattern of your answers. Okay, so very intelligently you have tried to solve the things. Okay, I thought it would be the questions raised are because you have touched the issue in a different light, and the questions were asked in such a manner, and you also responded to the questions in a very nice manner. But a very good take from this lecture, that what I see is that that man has to realize that evolution is not complete. He has to start to think that he is not the highest in the creation. Maybe the highest form of life is yet to evolve. We
Yes.
don't know what is that highest form of life. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe this would keep us all balanced vis-a-vis our